Good evening, Basil. How's it going, man?
Good evening, Alex. Very well. How are you, man?
Good, sir. Good. So, this week we have I believe, Taiwanese film called A Sun. Sun like the sun on sky. It is on Netflix. We've seen it, and it is basically the story of a family with two boys. So mom and dad and two boys. Every single one of them has its own story. It just presents their how they react pretty much and the consequences of an event that one of his son, the younger son, does. Basically, he participates. His accomplice in an attack in a restaurant by one of his friends.
Yeah.
His friend chops off the hand of a customer in a restaurant, and obviously they get arrested and they get sentenced, both of them. But the family deals with it in various ways. The dad is a very proud person. The older brother is a very
academically
studious,
is better, isn't he?
Academically, better, and very introverted too. The mom just is a mom and cares for both of them. So the whole film shows the dynamics that event produces in their lives, on top of the society norms and the dad's pride of having two strong boys, and his job as the father, it's very well acted, I felt, and very visually well put together. A lot of symbolism too I've picked up when we watched it. So what did you thought of that?
Yeah, we I think you pointed out at least two or three to me when we watched the film. It's symbolic wise, there's quite a few bits of cinematography in the film and direction in the film which I didn't really notice, but when it's pointed out, it's very good. And just in general, the way the film looks is fantastic, really. It can't be argued with. But yeah, no, it's a bit of a father-son kind of relationship film, this one, I found, because I think me and you both agreed that the two main protagonists are the father of the two boys, and in particular the boy who was the accomplice to his friend who committed the murder in the restaurant at the beginning of the film.
Who happens to be the youngest, maybe like
who's the youngest,
16 maybe, because he's not even an adult. He goes to a juvenile prison.
Yes, so 16, 17 years, and straight from the get-go we know that the father is only referring to his friends, that he only has one son, and we were a little bit confused by that at first, but we begin to realise that's because he's not proud of his younger son, who's done nothing in his life so far. Likewise, you see simultaneously how academically well his older son is doing, and that show kind of plays out, really. But yeah, it's an interesting film to watch, also from respect to, you can see what prison life is like for a juvenile kid who doesn't know what he's doing as well, with anger issues. That was an interesting point. And also, his constant visits from his family as well while he's in jail are interesting.
So that's a good point about the fact that the younger son is not as beloved as the elderly, more academic son. But what I liked about it is that it just is it shows very well how intricate family life is when put a bit pressure on it. So every single one of them, the mom has a history with the two sons whereabouts she disregarded the younger son when he was a child, the same as the dad, and then just favor the elderly one was the favorite one, and now later on they regret it. The dad keeps coming up with that. What's that quote that he kept saying?
Seize the day, choose your path.
Choose your path.
Seize the day, choose your path, which is the logo and the motto for the driving instructing school that he works for. Yeah. And so all of that stuff, it mingles with their family life, and it felt to me that this whole family, it looks as if a normal, maybe you can call it somewhat well put together family, but actually inside felt like it was rotten and nothing was. There's no base to it, was there? There's no base to it, and I think
it was almost like a shell, and inside there's nothing. Is only emptiness, is shallowness. Because nothing, every single thing that they seem to be standing up for as principles, just by the end,
it kind of like showed you what family isn't about, really, rather than what it is about. Because it's like there's a particular scene when Aho, who's the younger son, he finally does his time, and he serves his time in jail for the crimes that he committed. Comes out, and there's a scene where he comes home to his family home, and the father was meant to have been working. That's why he didn't pick him up, and he's just sat there on the couch watching a nature program, and he I don't even think he looks at him. Aho comes through the door with his mother, who's picked him up. Father doesn't even look at him. 2 or 3 years in prison, and then he just walks to his room, and it's like when I was watching it, the father justifies it, saying, well, why should I get up and say hello and hug him, because all he's done is brought shame to the family. And like, he's kind of right, on paper he's right. It's like, why should he? But that's what family's about. You still love your family members even when they've done something wrong. And in this case, he hadn't even really done anything wrong. The crimes that he was committed for, were a bit dubious anyway. So obviously the father's just got, hang-ups.
And it's all of that, but also the seize the day and choose your path type of thing that the father
that rhetoric
lives by, basically. That doesn't apply to himself, because he abandons, when it comes to education and growing up and putting the effort into growing up the younger boy, he abandons that early by focusing on the elderly one. And when the elderly one, without spoiling it, comes out of the picture, for example, he decides to go back to the younger son, but it's already too late. So he has seized the path, but he's just incorrectly picked up the path that he's chosen, and now he's elderly, and he's regretting it massively, along with making everybody else suffering.
Yeah, there's almost a bit of redemption from him at the end, isn't he, where you realise that his heart was in the right place, but all of that is just futile now, because he's left it too late and he's in his 60s, and exactly. too much is far gone. But I think we also both commented that the film is actually quite good with the black comedy as well. Like Parasite, it's got these moments of it's quite hilarious moments, but it's so oddly put into the film, because it's quite a dark film, to be honest, really, isn't it?
Absolutely,
but it has these moments of like just dark humor, which is just you can't help but laugh at, which we both liked.
Exactly. That's specific to, I think, this genre. I don't know if it's something that that part of the world, the Asian market, does, but consistently the good films, even if you look at things like Snowpiercer, which is literally an action thriller, and there's a lot of chopping and killing in there in that film, it still has moments of dark comedy.
Yes.
And Parasite has plenty, and on and on. So it's good to find. It's just what you're watching, and they're always very well placed. Yeah, they're not like random. They're very well placed in the film. So I like that. So it's called it's an interesting film, to be honest. It's different than what we've seen before. Not as high standard as Parasite, but definitely worth watching.
I'd say so.
So it's called A Son, and it's on Netflix, right?
Yep, that's the one.
Okay, so we'll talk to you next week.
Take care, Alex.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.